What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, and in this video I give you once again a behind the scenes sneak peek at what your actually competitors' keywords are. Not just that, but the hot new releases on Amazon in children's activity books. And I'll tell you this much, after seeing this, when you work on the back end of Kindle, your life will never be the same. All that, and I reveal to you my source for getting these actual keywords so you can get your very own keywords that you want for any books out there. So I've got all that and a lot more, and I finally put the answer to rest, which is how many keywords do I put on my 7 slots in the back end? Again, you can use this for Amazon FBA, Amazon KDP, just about any type of Amazon you want to use it on. And let's go ahead and just jump straight into my desktop. I'm about as excited as a kid on Christmas. All right, so we're here on my desktop, and today the actual books that we're gonna look at the back end for is the hot new releases. So you might be wondering why the hot new releases? Well, let's face it, we can see what kind of trends are changing and what the publishers are using, as well as what standard KDP sellers are using. And we can see if we can notice any kind of congruencies with the strategies that all of them are using. And I think that by the end of this video, you're gonna get my drift as to what you should have to do. Now, just in case you don't, I will sort of spell it out for you at the end of this video about what all this data means, but let's go ahead and jump straight in and figure out what keywords are these guys using. And we will start with number 1 on the hot new releases, which is Cat and Juju. And I really don't have any idea what the heck this book is about, but it is an actual hardcover book. It's a child's book, and it looks like it was published by Two Lions, which I've seen along in here many times with several different books. None of them really Kindle related. All of them are pretty much hardcover child's books. So here is what is super interesting about the strategy that Two Lions is using. They are pretty much shoving all of their keywords in one actual box or one back-end box, and you'll see that it's kids books, toddler books, children books, etc. They use commas. They just shove everything in one slot. And then that's basically it. And again, as I noted in the last video, they're getting way more than the 50 character limit that standard sellers get. So it's all strange to me. I don't know why they do it, but let's face it, they do. The second book that we're gonna look at is the anti-racism book that has absolutely just been fire and raced up the charts. This book is recently launched since June 2nd, and it's like number 2,000 in books. So it's making a killing. And let's take a look at what they have on their back end. As we can clearly see, it is KDP and it was independently published, but they are going with 1 keyword per line: racism books for kids, kids anti-racism books, and so forth. Now I will make one note here, as I got a lot of comments from people saying, oh, it's dangerous to actually post anti-racism books or coronavirus books. It is not, especially with coronavirus. Do not give advice on how coronavirus is cured or how it can be kind of settled down. If they're gag gifts or joke gifts, then you're not going to have a problem. Same thing with racism. Like, you don't want to joke around about it, but it is a very real topic. One of the actual listeners of this channel has a racism book that was in the top 100 for a while, and I still see it on there. I don't want to point him out, but he did fine with the book. So just make sure you're not like racist about it, or you're not putting out a Hitler kids books, which could be totally ridiculous for somebody to do, but who knows, there are some crazy bastards out there. Don't do that. That's not very cool. And now let's go on to the third book. This is Mermaids, a coloring book, and it's pretty hot right now. It's number 1 in children's puzzles. This one is put out by an actual publishing house by the name of Rockridge Press, which has a bunch of these that are in the top 100. And here is their keywords, as you can clearly see. Now, one thing that I noticed that Rockridge did that was very weird is they always put this juvenile grades 3 to 4 in ages, and then they always put juvenile as one of their keywords. And then furthermore, they always put the actual category, which in this case is juvenile nonfiction. Now, this mermaid book is doing pretty well overall. It has an author as well that is completely separate from the actual publisher, but they do get this nice enhanced brand content, which they get to put on there. And this thing is at 5,700 in books, but still doing pretty good. Now, that's not all that Rockridge has. Again, like I said, they have several, including this paper crafts for kids, 25 cutout ideas. It is also on the hot new releases. And this particular thing right here is same thing, juvenile grades ages 3 to 4, 8 to 9, juvenile and juvenile nonfiction. So it seems like they have a standard operating procedure for every single way that they fill these out, and it's always wrong and it's always total garbage, but they still make it to the top. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next book that we have here. All right, so let's take a look at this next one. It's my first animal activity book for kids ages 3 to 5. And if we take a look at the information on this one is also Rockridge Press. And once again, we see the same thing. Except on this one, I probably double put this. It should have probably been the same that the rest of them have, but still no rhyme or reason behind what they're doing other than the fact that it looks like they get to ram more than 50 characters, like I said earlier, but this book is also crushing it. So in another video, I'll cover what Rockridge's overall strategy is and why they're crushing it on all of their actual books. And I think a lot of you guys are going to be surprised. A lot of people would say, oh, they run a lot of ads, or they do this, or they do that. No, they actually have something completely different. So we'll go over that in a future video. Now, the next book is this book right here, 100 Sight Words for Kindergarten. It is a top new release, and it has a bunch of unicorns, which again is like not surprising. This particular book does have a publisher called Big Dream Art Supplies, but that seems like it's a smaller end publisher. That's just kind of my opinion. But here are the keywords that they went for. Primarily, they tried to put as much as they could actually put in there, and I think they did a pretty solid job overall, as they got a lot of keywords. The only question is, does it read well? And what I'm talking about is the title. So 100 Sight Words, Kindergarten Workbook, ages 4 to 6, a whimsical learn to read and write adventure activity book for kids with unicorns, mermaids, and more, includes flashcards. And I mean, I think it reads all right. I think they could have done a little bit better job on the title, but other than that, I think they did a pretty stellar job in general, and they are pretty much at 28,000 in books, and it's pretty fairly brand new. So it is less than a month old and absolutely crushing it. So let's go on to the next one. Again, we are always lately talking about anti-racism books, as I pointed out that they are red hot. And this person right here just put one out about 2 weeks ago. This one is pretty much racing up the charts. It has 0 reviews and it's selling pretty well. Let's take a look at what they went with. They went with a pretty good mix of words. I think they did a solid job. The only thing that I saw is that they didn't fill out one of the slots. And again, I'm assuming that they didn't fill out 2 slots because I can only get 6 from the actual service that I use, which I will reveal to you guys at the end of this video as well. I forgot all about that. And so in general, I mean, they're doing a pretty good job and they are selling pretty well. It's at 30,000 with 0 reviews. So it's doing extremely well. Okay, so this next one is a jumbo tracing book for toddlers and little kids. And this one is by Little Busy Minds, which is KDP. And they basically went with the standard, let's stick one set of keywords on here for every single line, which I completely, totally disagree with, because then it would say that they would have to rank for something like writing book, which is pretty much impossible when they've only got 2 ratings and they just launched. And if we take a look at how their sales look in general, they're nowhere near going to achieve that. They're going to probably just stick to around 50,000 on up. And I mean, that's great and all, but at the end of the day, we want to try to achieve as many sales as possible. Okay, so the next book is this Outer Space book. And this Outer Space book is really new. It's like 3 days old. It's still #1 new release in children's aeronautics and space book. And if we take a look at the actual rank, it is ranked 41,000 in books. So if we kind of want to make an assessment about how many it actually sold to want to be able to get to this spot and get that badge, which I think is kind of like a big deal, you can use that badge as social proof that the actual book in question is a bestseller on Amazon. And in my opinion, if you take a look at the 1-day sales being 7 here, it's been out for 3 days, today being the 3rd day, it's probably sold around 20. And if you recall, I told you this story about my friend who hit bestseller in some weird like Scientology category, and all he sold was 42 books in total. So again, it's very easy to acquire that badge. It's just a lot of people don't get it, or they don't know how to use it in order to promote their book. So in general, I think they did a pretty solid job of some of the actual words that they use. I think they're all outer space related, and I think they did an excellent job at trying to stuff them with the maximum amount possible words that they could. Okay, so the next book is this one, Dot the ABCs with Sea Animals. It's pretty new. It has 0 reviews, and in general, it's still on the hot new releases, although it's 58,000 in books. And we can take a look and see what the actual keywords are. Here they are. They are an independent publisher, and I think they did an overall good job stuffing them with a bunch of different keywords. Now, I think you guys are seeing a theme here, and let's talk about that theme, because what I really think is a lot of these independent publishers, which are people like you and me bringing out books that are stuffing the back end with as many possible keywords as they can, are seeing a lot of success right now. And that is because of the fact that you get a pretty almost infinite, I don't want to say infinite because it's not, but you get a heck of a lot more of combinations of keywords when you put as many keywords in the back end as you would with just standard one stupid keyword per line. And now the books that are having tremendous amounts of success that have one keyword per line are typically gigantic publishers that do have big budgets for advertising. They have big lists, which they're probably mailing out to their list, and they have a lot of customers already that are interested in the product versus the people like you and me that don't. So the moral of this story is, if you notice, all the independent publishers in the actual list that I just gave you, they all stuff the back end. And again, yeah, you might say, well, some of those keyword combinations probably don't get a heck of a lot of keyword volume, Liz, or search volume. And while that is true, just even one actual additional search per month that gets you a sale is a lot more valuable than none whatsoever, because you're trying to rank for words that are so competitive that no budget in the world could catch up to some of these publishers. So if you're not stuffing the back end, the moral of the story is stick as many keywords as you can on each of those 7 slots to maximize your chances to be seen by the actual customers of Amazon. That's pretty much it. Other than that, I know a lot of people asked for actually where to get this information. If you look in the link below, there is a link to the site that I've been using to get this information. Now, I purchase multiple reports from this actual source, and it works fantastic. You can do this for FBA products, you can do it for Kindle books, you can do it for just about anything in the Amazon catalog. So that link is below, and you can really truly learn a lot when you're able to look at the back-end keywords for almost anybody on Amazon. So with all that being said already, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I'll see you guys in the next video.